Good afternoon.
I got it.
All right, good afternoon. Wow, look at this. This is great to see the buzz and the energy and all the very few empty seats. You hear it? You hear me? Okay. It's great to see everybody back together again. Thank you for your flexibility. I know we bumped this by a week. Extremely important for us as a community to come together and honor George Johnson. It was a really great service last week. So I think a lot of folks here saw that, experienced it. It was really special. So thank you for being flexible in my time and for showing up today. It was a another great recognition of community here at Rolling Green Village. So if I can go ahead and have David get us started off with an opening prayer, please.
All right, let's pray. Dear Father, the source of both life and love, we gather as a community, and in this moment before the business of the hour commences, we pause to talk with you. We're compelled by the reality of our lives to begin with an expression of thanks to you for the considerable blessings that have accrued to us, both individually and as a community across the years, even until this very day. When we choose to make ourselves aware of the circumstances of others in our city and around the world, we see the objective truth that we have been blessed abundantly. But may we be humble enough to acknowledge that these blessings are not due to who we are, but they've come because of who you are, a gracious and generous and giving God. As from the very beginning with Adam and Eve, with blessings comes the responsibility to be good stewards. Whenever we look at the faces around this room, observe neighbors out taking a walk, or see fellow countrymen struggling to get a leg up in life, see the evidence of the moral drift in the halls of power in our nation, or hear news of the collapse of peace in nations around the world. Remind us of the answer to that question asked by Cain, am I my brother's keeper? Forgive us when we deflect, avoid, evade, ignore, or even dismiss your message that, of course, we are responsible one for the other. So we are thankful, though, to see this responsibility expressed by the people of Rolling Green who encourage others, who give assistance in moments of need, who volunteer in meaningful ways, and who move through their days just leaving kindness in their wake. Thank you for all those who live day by day, treating others as they wish to be treated, and in so doing make this a great place to live, and help us to do even better in the days to come. We pray for Ryan as he leads this community and as he leads this meeting. Guide us to be good stewards of our time and our speech, such that this session will be beneficial to us all as we go forward. And Lord, we would be remiss if we did not pray for peace. Our hearts are broken by what we've seen and heard regarding Israel and Gaza. Let justice roll down like waters, particularly on those so broken by anger and hatred as to feel justified in targeting civilians who are just trying to do life, but who now, due to the actions of others, find life precariously turned upside down. If there is something that we can do to help in addition to prayer, please make that known to us. But one thing we can do is to have the courage to call out as unacceptable any expressions of anti-Semitism or Islamophobia that may arise in discussions about current affairs. As we find hurtful and unhelpful, broad-sweeping stereotypes of people who have attained a certain vintage in life, like most of us in this room, so is it unwise to condemn or convict everyone within an ethnic or religious group on the basis of the heinous actions of others within that group. Help us to acknowledge, as difficult as it may be, that we all have been created in your image. So guide us, bless us, uplift us, and hold us, for we are your children called to your purpose in our world. So hear our prayers that we pray in the name of the one who first loved us. Amen.
All right, thank you, David. Just want to pause and continue with the focus that I have. I want to continue to incorporate members of our team, as Rolling Green is definitely more than just one person. So I'm going to invite Shannon to come up and visit with you all, Amy, and also Ruth today. Anna Grace is out of the office this afternoon, so I'll give a brief update for her. But Shannon, will you please come up and lend an update?
Good afternoon. We are excited that we are going to be able to have the COVID booster available to you here at Rolling Green. The date is November 7th, which most of you are aware, and we had our sign-ups yesterday. I had requested 150 vaccines, and I think we have a handful of spots left. In saying that, I can request more, and I'm doing that. So please call the clinic if you want the booster and haven't signed up. We ask that you call before October 31st. And also, if you get it for some reason and you are signed up, please call and cancel that so someone else can have that spot. I also wanted to mention, we partner with CVS to give these. The only insurance I'm aware of after doing the flu shots that they are out of network with is Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan. There's only a handful of residents who have that insurance. So since we're out of network, you would be responsible for that price. The ones of you who are signed up who have that insurance, I will reach out to you and give you that price. I don't have that price yet, but I've asked for it, and I will reach out to you myself to give that to you so you're aware before the vaccine. Next, I wanted to talk about, we had some questions regarding our house calls procedure and incidents on campus and how we document those. So in our medical records, we document a nurse's note when we have an incident like that. Also, security keeps a daily log. They keep a log each shift that would have that information. And we also keep a dashboard where we put in every incident that we have and kind of look through them and kind of can run reports. So any incident we look at separately to make sure if there's something that Rolling Green facility-wide that we could change, or if it was a factor that we could change to prevent a future incident. Also, lastly, I wanted to mention, recently one of our medical transportation drivers was in an accident in our minivan. Thankfully, he had dropped off the resident and was going back to get them, so no resident was with him. And also, thankfully, that no one was injured in that wreck. The only thing that was injured, it was our minivan who was totaled. So we recently bought a Honda CRV. You may see it, it's white, it's very pretty. So if you take medical transportation, you may get the joy of riding it soon. So I just want to let you know of that change that we had. And like I said, we're very thankful no one was injured. Any questions?
Are you going to get the RSV vaccine?
We're looking into it. We're going to get through the COVID ones and then we'll see. Yes.
Is the blood pressure clinic going to resume?
It is. I haven't got a day. I was hoping we could start back in October, but here we are, mid.
Can you repeat the question?
Is the blood pressure clinic going to be resuming? Yes, I hope to. I was hoping we'd already have it, but I am working on that. Okay, leave it to Amy.
Amy, you want to go ahead?
Okay.
Thank you, Shannon.
Are you reading? Well, just,
I can hold it.
yeah, okay.
Good afternoon. A few weeks ago, we sent out a wellness survey, just asking residents what equipment they use in our exercise room, the gym, whatever you want to call it, because we wanted to try to find out if there were pieces of equipment that people were not using so that we could remove them and possibly make more room in the gym. What I found is most people use most of the equipment. So, I am working with therapy. We're just trying to find out if there's a way that we could reposition some of the equipment, if there's other space we could utilize with some equipment. So we're still working on that. But I did want you to know that I appreciate everyone who turned in their surveys, because we did get a lot of surveys back. Sometimes we don't get a big response, but we did. So I can see that a lot of people really care about the gym and the space and utilizing that. So I just wanted to let you know that we are still working on that. I want to make sure that it is good for therapy, because they use the gym a lot, but also for you as well. So we'll continue to let you know what we come up with. And if anybody has any suggestions, they can also give those to me as well. So, any questions on that? Okay. Also, a lot of people are concerned about what's going to happen with the wellness program when Katie goes out on maternity leave. How many of you are in that category? Okay, so I just want to let you know that I have reached out to various contacts that I have. I have talked to therapy. I've reached out to Greenville Tech, and I've also reached out to the YMCA. So I'm trying to find anyone who is willing to come and cover classes for us, but also maybe have some gym time that they could just be in there to answer questions, help people with machines and things like that. As far as classes are concerned, this is what we have, and when I finalize this, I will be sending this out to everyone, okay? So I'm hoping to have that in the highlights next week. I am finalizing this. All right, so Monday and Friday, full body and chair class in Cedars will be covered by Heather, who is also doing some of our aquatic classes. Okay, so that will be Monday and Friday. Monday and Wednesday, we have chair yoga that is recorded. Katie recorded herself or recorded a friend doing it while she was talking. And that will be on the portal. But I also have a lady that's coming in. Her name is Laura. She's a personal trainer and a group exercise instructor with Senior Action in the YMCA. And she's going to be coming in to either do, and that's on Monday and Wednesday afternoons where chair yoga would be, Silver Sneaker Classic or Circuit with chairs. So we're going to kind of see, I'm going to talk to her next week and just see which one of those, because she does not do chair yoga, but like I said, Katie has filmed herself or filmed the class. It is on the portal, but we will offer a class in the place of that. Tuesday and Thursday, we have leg strength and balance. I'm working on coverage for that. The lady's name is Joy Hill. She used to work at Foothills, but now she has opened her own business, and she is going around Greenville and the upstate doing exercise in communities, and just, doing her own private instruction and things like that. If she does teach that class, it will be at 8:30, okay? So if not, we do have Katie recorded herself. We could always show the video down in the Wellness Center, because we do have the capability of doing that, because I know some people like to be in a group setting. And then we have the Tuesday, Thursday circuit class that is led by some of our residents. And that is real easy to lead, because all the residents would have to do are the time clock, and then go to the next, after a minute is up, you go to the next, or 2 minutes, thank you, Jim. You go to the next station, okay? We still have aquatics 5 times a week. We have the fitness DVD 4 times a week. We have Zumba 3 times a week. We have Tai Chi 1 time, and then we also have line dancing 1 time a week. So we still have lots of exercise and exercise classes that are available. But like I said, I am looking for someone that can come in a couple times a week, may possibly Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 1 to 3 or 2 to 4 is what I've put out there, to be in the gym just to answer questions for anybody who may come to the gym, help them with the machines, things like that. Okay? Does anybody have any questions about that? Yes.
Yes, I have been doing the Zumba classes,
Yes.
and I love them, love the instructor, she's great. However, thank you, the room is really too small for the number of participants.
Right.
We've had as many as 13 this past week.
Hold it up.
Turn it on the bottom.
Yeah, turn it on.
Thank you. We've had, like I said, 13 on Monday, and it really is very stifling, because Zumba is a quick moving class.
Right.
And I don't know what, if anything can be done, if you change the room, or maybe have 2 classes. I don't know the answer, unfortunately.
Right.
But I just wanted to bring it to your attention.
And that is an issue that we have been having, especially as we get larger. And so we have discussed different rooms that we could possibly use, modifications to those rooms. We just haven't gotten to that point yet, but those are in discussion as we speak. So hopefully we can have an answer within the next couple months. I know that doesn't help right now, but that is something that we're looking into because we want your exercise classes to be comfortable but also safe.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have any questions?
Well, it's really not for you.
Okay.
It's about the sidewalk on, Lakeside, by the
Okay.
lake. Is there any progress on that?
I'm gonna talk about that in a little bit.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, any other questions for me? Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Amy. Wow, did you hear all those things going on? I don't know how she keeps it organized. And she kept going and going and going. She's doing a great job. I continue to hear some really great feedback from residents just about all the different activity. It's great to see different things going on at the same time or near the same time. That's why people are here. People want to thrive. People want to have things to do, create connection. And again, that comes back to community. So thank you, Amy. I know that we're all stressed and worried, about the absence of Katie, but we will continue to come up with a plan and work together on it. So I'm going to step in for Anna Grace. She had to depart early today. She was going out of town. I had 3 items that I wanted to share from her, actually 4. One, as far as occupancy in the licensed areas, Anna Grace's focus and assistance with helping us bring up our occupancy has been pretty remarkable. So the last couple months in the healthcare center, we've actually exceeded our budgeted occupancy number, and we've not done that all year. So it's great to see our numbers get up, back to those pre-COVID areas. So as of today, we have 63 residents out of 70 rooms that are currently occupied. The thing that continues to turn over clearly is in the rehab, where we have people coming and going roughly every 15 to 17 days. So we have 1 open healthcare room, and then we have 6 open rehab rooms that are going to continue to turn over as people are coming and going on a routine basis. So that's been great to see. That's contributed significantly to our success on our net operating income budget so far over the last couple of months. Within Cedars Assisted Living, we only have 1 open apartment. So again, it's great to see that degree of occupancy improve as well. We've been around 24, 25, but to be up to 27 out of 28 is also great to see that momentum. Evergreen Place is that one setting where we have more work to do, and it's been a number of years. We created a small ad hoc team earlier this week just to talk through different ways we can approach memory support. And we think that once folks are there, they really do appreciate the support that's received. But we also think there's some things we can do a little bit differently from the leadership perspective. So we have 8 open apartments there. That's the most openings that we have across the whole campus. But overall, Anna Grace's support of the team and them continuing to achieve some of the financial goals has been great to see since she joined us in May. September 27th, we had the Department of Health here for our annual CRCF, we call Assisted Living Survey, and we actually received 0 deficiencies, which is a great result. It's been years since we've gotten 0 deficiencies. I would put a little asterisk there, from my perspective, DHEC is behind on the number of surveys that they're doing each year. And the lady was here for maybe 2.5 hours, and she said she had somewhere else to go. That does concern me a little bit because they're supposed to be in assisted livings all throughout the state, and there's a lot of them. How thorough are they being when they're doing these inspections? I don't think that things are broken in our assisted living, but I also don't necessarily think that they're perfect. Anytime a surveyor comes in, they can find something. But it was still a good outcome, one that it's been a few years that since we received 0 deficiencies. I don't want to downplay the work that they do over there. I do just kind of worry when they come in that quickly and leave that quickly how thorough they were being. But they were able to get us completed, and thankfully we had 0 major concerns from that review. So that's something to celebrate. We do have a new unit supervisor over in rehab. I think we talked about before that Ali Rania, Victor's wife, moved to Charlotte with him as he had a job opportunity. And we filled that position with Danny Presley. Danny Presley is a nurse that has actually worked at Rolling before, She worked at Rolling Green before and left, but then wanted to come back when she heard about the opportunity. In recent months, she'd been working in our rehab and healthcare areas for a temporary agency, and so that's how we kind of got reacclimated to each other, reintroduced. She worked for us for a number of years, a really good nurse. So we're excited to have her back on the team. You could say she became an employee again last week, and she's just learning a lot. And we're grateful to have her on the team again as that nurse supervisor over the rehab area. Last thing I want to talk about was an elopement that we had. And I know there's a couple of folks that I had a chance to visit with after this occurred. But in September we did have a really unfortunate event with a resident that was within our health center. Wanted, in full transparency, I wanted to make sure that you all were aware of what had happened and what we're doing to be different in response to it. Anna Grace has worked very closely with the staff, worked very closely with the resident's family, worked very closely with our team to do a root cause analysis and understand what happened. But back on Monday, September 18th, a new resident within the health center decided to take a walk and exit our healthcare center, went through our Cedars area as well, and walked out the side door where somebody was sitting enjoying the weather with the umbrella up. And he left at approximately 12:40. We do routine checks every 2 hours, and on that next routine check, we recognized that he wasn't in his room and wasn't sitting where we thought that he was. So that was extremely concerning. We started a search, an internal search. Anytime we have a concern for a resident, we have a lot of rooms, a lot of interconnected settings, a lot of bathrooms, a lot of closets. You have to do a fully exhaustive internal search before you start looking outward. So we did conduct that search following our emergency preparedness plan. And we also were in touch with the resident's responsible party. We've had concerns before where somebody will come and pick up their loved one and not tell us. They were new to the community. Maybe that they had picked him up and taken him out and had forgotten to notify the staff, but that was not the case. So we did contact the family that he was not with them. We also contacted the Greenville County Sheriff's Office to help support us in the search. And so at 2:40 is when we initiated that external search, contacting the family and contacting the Sheriff's Office. At 3:10, we were able to locate him with the support of our RGV staff. We had created a team to go external and work within the patio home neighborhoods. He was found on the outside of Summerside, so this gentleman had actually taken a walk out around the F building into the back forested area, a significant walk. It's just absolutely remarkable. It was extremely difficult to have this occur. It's something that we take full responsibility for. When we found him, he was in pretty good condition. On the side of caution, we asked that he be sent out to the hospital, and working with the family was there. The Sheriff's Office was there as well. They hadn't necessarily conducted their search because we've been able to find him in the midst of our internal work. So he actually returned back to our community that night. So this was around 3 o'clock. Went out to the emergency room and returned to us in the overnight hours after getting a full battery of tests to make sure that he was okay. Just a little tired, a little bit shook up. We conducted a full root cause analysis and investigation. On Monday afternoon that same day, we reported it to the Department of Health. We're required through regulations to notify the Department of Health when significant concerns happen like this. So we did do that as well. And we also reviewed all our internal policies around resident safety, around resident elopements, and we re-educated our staff. One of the primary concerns we had from a root cause analysis was that this gentleman did trigger to have a Wonder Guard put on him. That's a small anklet that would be put around somebody's ankle, or a bracelet that would notify us if somebody walks through certain doors. And the nurse failed to do that upon that assessment. So that's a significant contributing factor to this. And in light of that, we've gone through and done exhaustive assessments on everybody that was there at that time to ensure we didn't have a new concern. On Tuesday the 19th, we met and reviewed as a team, our elopement policies, doing our root cause analysis. We also visit with Life Care Services to do an after event summary and just try to understand and also learn from other communities when these things occur. What have they learned from other communities and how that can improve us to make sure that we reduce the chances that happens again. So Wednesday afternoon, the nursing leadership team got together as well to meet with the family, myself included, just to talk through and open the book to what we learned, what we were able to uncover, what we are going to be doing differently. So we're grateful for their continued support. The gentleman continues to reside here. We've had good lines of communication with the family, as we move forward. It's a difficult situation. I know a handful of residents, were visible that day in Summerside. I think there was a lot of outstanding questions. Didn't feel the need to notify the whole campus with the letter, but if anybody wants to take a look at the letter that we sent out to all the families in healthcare and in Cedars Assisted Living in an Evergreen Place, I'm glad to share it with you. I do remember that we put out a one call to you all because of the circumstances, so I want to make sure that we close the door on that communication, and thankfully this gentleman was okay, and it was a very, very near miss, and we're grateful that he was okay and that we now have to step back and take responsibility, as David talked about before, in recognizing that we made mistakes and then correcting those mistakes and just being more mindful moving forward. So I wanted to make sure that she had a chance to share that, but since she's not here, I wanted to share it on her behalf. When these things occur, we feel strongly about being open and transparent and making sure folks know what we're doing to be different moving forward. So, anybody have any questions about the elopements or about the survey or anything else for the licensed areas that I can share with Anna Grace? Yes.
I just have one question. We're fairly new to here, and I know how to get from the Commons area to here. But is there anybody that I could contact so that I could view assisted living and nursing home?
Sure.
I mean, I don't even know how to get any farther than right to
Yes. So the question was, she's new to the community. Is there somebody that she can contact to help her understand more about those different areas? And yes, we have a marketing person within each of our areas that can spend some time with you and help you understand how things operate, how things work within each of those settings. So yes, we can at some point.
Thank you.
Any other questions around the elopements?
Did the family sue?
No, the family, like I said, the families continue to keep him here. We've not felt there was a concern there. That said, that can come 6 months down the road, 2 years down the road, 6 years down the road, you don't know. We do feel that with us having open lines of communication, us taking responsibility, us sharing the information that we have, I think that helps reduce some of those concerns, and thankfully there was no injuries. It could have been different if there were. But that is always a risk that's there for any concern like this. Even lesser concerns, we've gotten sued recently for a broken ankle for somebody that had fallen within the health center. So any of those concerns could pop up. It's unfortunate, but that's the world that we live in. So,
Sir, was there any indication that he was unhappy and needed to leave, or?
No, I think he was in a memory care at the previous community that he was at. And we felt that through the assessment, some of the memory care pieces that triggered were certain medications that he was on. We did not see any quote unquote exit seeking behavior initially. He was only here for a couple of weeks. But no, there was an indication that he was upset. He's actually been pretty happy. But is a physically fit person that liked to be active, liked to visit with folks, liked to be outdoors. So all those elements of somebody that has moments of confusion, can cause them to think differently and say, this is where I need to go for a walk, or I don't want to be here, I want to be there. But nothing that we would say would have him be upset.
Ryan,
Yes.
are all of those in that area, do they all have the ankle bracelet?
The question is about the ankle bracelet. We only put the ankle bracelet on folks that trigger at an assessment. So we don't want to be restrictive unless we know that there is a risk. Not everybody that's in the house there has an ankle bracelet, and there's no ankle bracelets in Evergreen Place. But it's just for those folks that are in our health center that have an increased need for for that device to notify us. So what it does, it just notifies with an alarm, an audible alarm, that this person's walked through a certain sensor. It doesn't lock the doors, because it's an open environment. But on those exit doors, those primary exit doors, is where we do have those sensors. So those are good questions. One of the things that we are also doing in light of this is we're increasing our outward-facing, public-facing, in some cases internal-facing camera system, in helping us. That can be a tool for us. It is looking backwards through situations, but it can definitely help us if somebody were to walk out a door again to know exactly what direction they went. Right now we just have some cameras around certain key card entry systems, and it just shows somebody coming in and leaving. But as somebody exits into parking lots, we cannot tell through a camera if they go right or they go left. So we are actively looking at upgrading the camera system. We feel like it's a smart thing to do that can help us, prevent concerns, help us reduce any time if there's something in the future. So we are actively doing that, working with Convergent, who is our technology system that's currently here to expand some of those cameras, particularly to parking lots, exterior entrances, because right now it's really inward facing out. It's not always outward. So in light of this as well, we felt the timing was right for us to look at upgrading some of those systems to again enhance our safety and to reduce some of the concerns moving forward. All right, so that would finish up Anna Grace's portion. So wanted to then transition and invite Ruth to come up. I know there's been a lot of curiosity in the recent weeks. We've started to discuss the priority sales process. There's a lot of excitement, particularly from the outside of Rolling Green Village, that if we were to add residences, that people would want to come. I believe I've waitlisted around 90 people that have expressed interest at one point. So I asked Ruth to come just to talk further about what that communication has been like in recent weeks. We started working with our internal folks first to let you all know of some of the planning so far, and then we moved to our external folks as we move through this sales process to determine if we're gonna grow. We really hope that we can. That primary reason for growth, and we've talked about it a little bit before, is to fix Cedars Assisted Living. That setting, and folks have been over there before, it's not up to market standards, and we're losing a lot of residents that are moving away from Rolling Green to neighboring assisted livings because they don't want to live in a studio apartment, and we definitely understand that. So I wanted Ruth to spend some time with you all to help understand the messaging and some of the talking points that we have. So I know there's a lot that Ruth wanted to discuss today, so thank you, Ruth.
Thank you, Ryan. I do want to add a little note about the elopement situation. The person that eloped was actually my PE teacher at Bob Jones University. And you have to, at the beginning of your freshman year, go run laps around the track and do a mile in less than 12 minutes. And I know you're like, well, what's the big deal about that? Well, two things. One, if you don't like to run and sweat, it is very inconvenient. And two, if you like to talk, it's really hard to meet that goal. But if you can't do that, they put you in what is called a progressive conditioning class, which is basically for overweight, unmotivated people, which is where I landed up. And we became good friends, good guy. So what triggered it was he is extremely athletic and just loves to be outside. So, and did remember that he failed me in that conditioning. Two real quick items before I get started on the priority process. Next Thursday at 5 o'clock, Amanda Bulgarelli, which is Teepa Snow's daughter, is going to be giving a seminar. We invited people from the Greenville community. We still have a little bit of availability. So if you or a loved one here at Rolling Green are a caregiver for a resident who's having cognitive decline, you are welcome to come and join us. It's at 5 o'clock, and we get out about 6:30, and there is food involved, so you won't miss your dinner. But it's a good opportunity to start exploring some of the options you have here at Rolling Green when you experience cognitive decline. Secondly, you'll get a invitation on Friday to come to a tailgate party. It is being hosted by Leading Age here at Rolling Green, and it will be all kinds of games like Jenga and photo booth, and there's line dancing, a DJ, all of these cool things. They'll also be creating 3 videos for us. One for me to use with new people who come in, so it'll be highlighting residents. Then another one will be highlighting employees, so we can use that in recruitment. And the third one I'm still creating, but it's gonna be fun. I don't know what it's gonna be, but you know me, it'll be fun. There will be a barbecue, and also our fundraiser for Alzheimer's, and you'll hear more about that from Anna Grace and Lexi, is the dunking booth. So you will have to pay money to take shots at certain people like anyway, it's gonna be a fun time. It's 2 hours. And I haven't really talked with Amy back there yet, but hopefully we can get a bus to go through the patio homes and pick people up so that they don't have to worry about driving. We'll talk about that later. All right, so the priority process. Some of you have already called me personally, and I just want to say thank you for calling me and sharing with me what it is that you're feeling and the questions that you have. There is nothing I'm going to say today that is set in stone. There's nothing that can't be changed. This is the beginning of the process. So when I go out into the Greenville community to talk about why you choose a continuing care community, I like to start with this story. Now, you know my mom and dad, pastor's wife, adopted 7 children. Yes, it was a zoo. All the children lived up on the 2nd floor. Their bedrooms were there. My mom and dad had, the primary bedroom was on the main floor. And I think on purpose, they tried not to go up there very often because it was pretty crazy. My mother would go every Saturday morning to the Day Old Bakery on Clausen's Bakery on Augusta Road. Is there anybody that's been here long enough to know? Yeah. Yes. Okay. And she would buy in bulk white bread, brown bread, peanut butter. I was little, of course, but it seemed like they were in big vats. And pretty much those kinds of things to feed her 7 growing children that had hollow legs. So one day when she went that Saturday morning to go get her weekly stipend of bread and all that stuff, I had heard about a family that burned in a house fire because the kids were on the 2nd floor and they had no emergency plan. So I was in the 3rd grade, it's a very, very, very intelligent person in the 3rd grade, very task-driven, proactive. So I called all my brothers and sisters together and I said, we need to come up with a plan. So go get the sheets off your bed and bring them in here to my bedroom. We'll tie them together. So they did. Most of them were younger than me, so they just did whatever I would say to them. So they brought them in, tied them to the bedpost, tied the sheets together, and then I was like, okay, who wants to go first out the window and see if this thing really works? And nobody volunteered. I was like, oh my goodness, okay, I'll just do it myself. And so I got the sheet, tied it around me, climbed up onto the edge of the windowsill. The 2nd floor was high enough that I was higher than the trees surrounding our house. It was glorious. I just want to tell you that. Leaning out there, I'm like practically in the clouds. And I'm like, this is awesome, you guys. And then as I'm leaning out and looking this way, I see my mom's car coming down Augusta Road, getting ready to turn in. So I casually mentioned, "Mom's coming!" And they all dropped the sheets that they were holding on to. I'm leaning forward, and I am living proof that gravity does exist on our earth. And while I thought I had planned, I hadn't totally planned through and found myself hanging upside down between the first and the second floor. But I had really long blonde hair, and my blonde hair was swinging in front of the picture window of the den, which I know if my mom had seen that, I would not be here today. Pretty sure. And the reason I like to tell that story is so often when we look at retirement, we have great dreams for when we're active and we're pursuing hobbies and we're going places and we have friends and family. A lot of times what we don't think through is when we're hanging upside down in a health crisis and we haven't quite gotten everything aligned. That's kind of why I fully believe in a continuing care community, because all of you here have made a plan so that should you ever need a higher level of care, you can get that right here at Rolling Green Village, and it's our privilege to take care of you. Having said that, it is well recognized that I've been here 19 years, November the 3rd. That is crazy. I started when I was 10 though, so not to worry. Since I have been here, the only changes in Cedars and EP have been carpet and paint. That's it. Well, the market has moved to where people want more of an apartment style living. And like Ryan said, we are trying to close the back door for our residents who find Cedars too constraining for what they really want. Those of you in the patio home, think about what it would feel like to go from your home to a suite, just one suite with a bathroom and an under-counter microwave refrigerator. In the apartment, same thing. Most of you are living in 2-3 bedroom apartments with full kitchens. So, yeah, that's true. So how are we going to do that? What is the primary revenue stream here at Rolling Green? Yes. Say that a little bit louder, please. You are. Okay. So at this point, we have an option of either burdening the people that live here right now in an ungodly manner, or we can expand some more and share the cost of what we need to do. That's really the strategy behind what we're thinking about. The priority process is where I stick my toe in the water and say, do we have enough interest for us to do this? And the answer that comes back then tells us what the next step is, which is if we have enough priorities, then we move to getting deposits on, this is what we're building, apartments, cottages, and a new product, a hybrid home called a carriage house. And before you ask, is Ray Berge here today? Because I thought I saw him. He asked me if you could keep a horse in the carriage house, and I told him, yes, of course you can. Those are the 3 things that we're doing, okay? Right now, we are in the priority phase. If you're interested in downsizing or moving from the patio home to the apartments, I'll have another meeting November the 9th where you can come and you can get opportunity to sign up for the priority process. Again, this is just the first step. When we complete this step, then we'll go to the next one, which is getting deposits. Now, I know for some of you that doesn't feel comfortable. There are people who have lived here for a very long time, and they really liked it the way it was a long time ago, 10, 15 years. I get it, okay? I get it. I'm not making fun of that. I understand that, all right? I have now realized I am in that age category where the world is moving at full blast, and I'm not really thrilled about a lot of stuff, okay? For example, they don't make movies for people that have minds now. They are for weird, demonic kind of stuff or dancing or whatever. Now, I'm sure there's young kids that fully enjoy that, but I'm just sitting there like, so yes, growth does bring with it transition and sometimes uncomfortable situations. Please do not make judgment about this phase 2 expansion based on what happened in phase 1. Phase 1, we launched it, it was going along great, okay? And then COVID hit, and it changed everything. Even to the point where we couldn't have meetings. We couldn't sell current apartment inventory because people were not allowed in. So when you normally come in and marketing does a big new resident welcome, and all of our current residents get to go meet all the new residents, and we have a big hoopla, we couldn't do that. So when the F building moved in, the F building kind of had to take care of the F building. I mean, where were they gonna go? And when people moved into the patio home, some people moved in and then never came out again until after COVID was over. So it was a tough time for all of us. And in a way, we're still recovering from that time and the lack of community and connection that we would normally have had. So I want you to keep talking with me, keep talking with Ryan, sharing your concerns, sharing your questions, that kind of thing. But understand, once the whole schematic is done, Ryan will roll that out to everybody, and you will have a chance to see it. And in the background, all of your leadership team has to start working on how are we going to do this differently? How are we going to handle these extra people that are coming in and that kind of thing? So hopefully you can at least get a little excited about it. The pickleball court's coming, yay! All right, and then Ray's gonna have a horse in his carriage house, so we can start doing some equestrian therapy over there. Are there any questions over this? Yes, sir.
The expansion, is it homes, is it cottages, is it apartments?
Apartments?
Because I'm a little confused based on the slide.
Apartments, cottages, and a new product called a carriage house.
So it's all.
But at the same time, they will be building a brand new Cedars neighborhood.
Second question. Given the difficulty of attracting staff that I've experienced over the last 3 years, how is Rolling Green going to staff up to meet this expansion plan?
That's a great question, and we have already started working on that. Ryan can answer that more, but we have a couple of years, probably. I mean, I'd like to say we're all gonna take our shovel and go out there and dig it and build it in a month. But a lot of our staffing issues happened because of COVID. So we've learned some stuff from that. We've also made some changes. We've also had leadership training on employee management, and we'll continue to do all of that, and we will come up with a plan that works. Okay? Just give us time.
Yeah, I can give time, it's just, I'm concerned because I still can't get somebody to come and do house cleaning for my patio home. Yes, it's almost impossible to get home health care. I had a need last year, and I couldn't get the home health care that I needed.
Well, will you email me all that information? Because I'm compiling things so that we can go and look at it seriously. It's ruthw@rollinggreenvillage.com.
I know.
Email me those concerns because that will help us as we start planning now for what's going to happen with our expanding family. Yes, Brian?
Hi Ruth, I'm Susan Ware, I live
Hi,
on
Susan.
Milstead Way. Yes, hi everybody. My question is more of a financial one. I wonder why the reserves have not been put aside over the last 25 or 30 years to address this. I think anybody with any common sense is gonna realize that at some point in time, this particular building or that building is gonna need remodeling, replacement, etc. And then what's gonna happen in the future, there's gonna be a point where you're gonna run out of places to build just to make up income to build, rebuild, or fix.
So I'm going to let Ryan answer a lot of that. From a marketing perspective, we have a very specific strategy of phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 to accomplish. He can address the whole thing about why 20 years ago they didn't start doing this. That's not really my bailiwick to do that. But I do agree with you that at some point we can't build anymore. So we have to have strong strategies in place to financially afford to make the changes that we need to make. Any other questions?
In the meantime, how we gonna feed all these people and where you gonna feed them? You can't staff the dining hall now.
So everyone that lives in a patio home is gonna adopt somebody and they're gonna go to their house for lunch or dinner.
That works.
All of the people in the patio homes are like, oh no, I'm not.
I mean, really.
That is one of the things we have to work on, and we know that.
Say more about replacing the assisted living. What's the plan there? What would you put in, what, is it gonna be brand new or what?
Yes, so it'll be a brand new building. It will have beautiful 1 and 2 bedroom apartments. It will have a courtyard so that people can get out and sit in this beautiful courtyard outside and it not be in the middle of traffic. And right now we're looking at it facing out in the back here, looking at the lake. So it's next to Evergreen Place.
Where does that fit in a priority?
Where does it fit in the priority?
Yeah, is that high on the top of the list, or where does that fit with everything else you talked about?
What are you gonna build first?
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm gonna give it over to our fearless executive director.
So, to answer your question, I can backtrack to the other two. You know, we did a strategic planning session with our board and some key leaders, or actually some residents that were involved in that a couple of years ago. And a lot of the ideas that came together and the themes that came through, the overarching theme and the number one theme was we have to fix assisted living.
Yes.
We have to come up with a better solution. So that is the priority, and that's the reason why we're bringing in more folks to help us offset that cost. Right now, as we're right-sizing that product, we're only looking at adding between 4 and 6 residents. You know, so we have 28 right now. The revenue from 4 or 6 additional people is not going to pay for a brand new building. So that is where we have to leverage, you know, and we've been successful with that to create the commons and the dining room, bringing in more folks to live here. But that is the priority. They would do both of those things at the same time. You know, there would be construction for the assisted living at the same time as we're constructing the apartments. You know, there's going to be some sequencing, which we're not even that far along yet, but we're working through schematic design to understand what that might look like. That's why we did the boring testing a couple of months ago or a month ago to understand what the soil components were. So yes, that's the primary focus. So go back to the question before about staffing. We do continue to see staffing recover. We've seen significant strides made since the beginning of the year. We typically operate around 240 full-time equivalents. I hear what you're saying about the folks coming out, housekeeping, coming out to the patio homes. So far this year, there was a lot more work that we did on the spring cleaning. The spring cleaning kind of never ended for the housekeeping team. It did not free them up to be able to get out to the patio homes, but Mary Coker and I talk about that regularly. When can we get at least one person started out into the patio homes and start to get back to that service which we used to provide? So some of those services that we used to provide, we still want to continue to get back to. On the home health side, I'm not sure I understand, is it home health or home care?
Home care.
Home care, okay, because those are two different things. On the home care side, we do continue to have a growing number of staff. We've seen significant strides, and Shannon can tell you about the increase that we've seen in the number of people. We're actually providing more home care month over month than we've had in the past. Some of the concerns with home care is what people want is only 1 hour, half an hour in the morning, and those minimums make it difficult for us to staff at times. So we're trying to be as creative as we can, having somebody start here and go there, and making sure that those folks have a consistent schedule, because they're not going to just want to come in for the price of gas for half an hour at a time, even though that's when you want them. So we are continuing to try to find and have more people consistently so we can have more full-time equivalents. We've made significant strides. I don't have the number, but this past year we've seen a significant increase in those number of people. And to your question before, we're going to have to continue to focus on employee engagement, and Ruth mentioned it. We're continuing to work with our department heads, leaders, to be better managers. Most people leave their jobs due to managers, but we're also continuing to make sure we're being competitive with wage increases, and that's another critical factor, making sure we have a competitive wage. So that's going to continue to be there. Ever since COVID happened, it changed the whole staffing scenario. We have a lot of people that have retired recently, and some people have said they don't want to do cleaning anymore. They don't want to work in a restaurant anymore. So we're not immune to that. If you go into Greenville, any restaurant, you're going to see now hiring signs everywhere. So, but I do think we're making significant strides, and I think the things that we're doing with some of these events to kind of make sure people know what it's like to live here and what it's like to work here is working. We've seen our staffing stabilize, which is great. We're never going to be there, but we're going to keep working, and we definitely recovered from where we were through COVID. To answer your question about the financial reserves, we definitely need more financial reserves, and you're right. I wasn't here 20 years ago. I've only been here 10. Those decisions were made by the board with the support of Life Care Services when they looked at strategic decisions and putting money away. Yes, they should have done more. I know from what I learned for a number of years, the focal point for those monthly service fee increases was tying it to the cost of living increase with Social Security. But if we were keeping it down to 2% and 3%, we're not putting enough aside to improve. And I can tell you, when I first started here, our capital expenditure budget was restricted by Wells Fargo Bank. We refinanced a number of years ago, and we're able to lift that restriction, so we're able to spend more on upgrading. But there are a lot of those projects that are still outstanding. Back in 2016, was it Skip? We had to take out a loan to redo roofs, windows, and siding because that had been put off for quite a while. So you're correct. We need to do more. We have done more to create a reserve for those situations, but we don't have enough of it sitting there that we can fully fund the expansion of an assisted living, particularly with the cost of construction today and the cost of materials, everything that has gone up significantly with COVID. So I think those are some, if I were to give some perspective on those questions, but those are good questions that can continue to be there. How do we have enough people to provide the quality of service, and also making sure that we have the resources to be successful. We need to continue investing and providing a great service, because we're tied together, I believe. Folks are not going to want to buy a patio home if we're not providing and doing our part of providing great service and being an attractive place where people can enhance their quality of life and continue to thrive. So let me let Ruth finish up to see if she has anything else, and we can jump into a couple more things. Does anybody have any other questions for Ruth that are more marketing related?
One more question for you, Ryan. If you don't have enough money in the reserve accounts to finance the expansion, how will you finance the expansion?
Well, that's how we've traditionally taken out loans. There's bonds and bank bank financing that we've taken out. But a significant portion of that financing is, like as Ruth had mentioned, that financing is assisted by new folks coming in and those entrance fees that are received to help us pay down loans to start off with. But it's debt, so we've taken out debt, long-term bonds and long-term bank financing that we continue to have. And like I said, we added to that in 2016 to redo all the roofs, the windows, and the siding in this contiguous building. Yes, Dick?
You mentioned that you were going to look at whatever we were going to build for homes or apartments, almost simultaneously we'd be working on the healthcare area. Is that correct?
It's one project altogether, so I don't know how it's gonna be sequenced, but the whole project, and I don't know what's gonna start first and what's gonna go second, but the entire project would be assisted living, independent living apartments, independent living cottages, and also the carriage home product. So that would all be a part of this phase, what we're calling phase 2 of this project.
So do you need to build all three to be able to handle and do the healthcare?
Yes, we do believe that we have to do all three to be successful and to continue to make sure that the organization can develop those reserves to be in a different position moving forward.
Yes, this is sort of a multifactorial question. What is the anticipated increase in the census of people at Rolling Green? What's the number? What's the percent?
It's a little over 100.
So that would be 10% increase over what we have now, or
How many people do we have now?
About 643 independent living residents.
If you add the licensed areas, you're getting a little bit over 700. So right around 700, so
what, 20%?
so 15%-ish, yeah,
15,
between 10 and 15.
So, a 15% increase in the number of people here at Rolling Green. And so when you anticipate having new people here on the campus, are you also going to have the infrastructure in place for support services, such as exercise room, the dining room, the need for home health care?
Yeah.
This is part of the promise of support services. Assisted living, what's the rehab? Is that gonna be in place, or are you gonna say, oops, we have all these new people, and gosh, like now, we're trying to catch up?
We, make sure everybody heard the question. We do anticipate, adding staff when this occurs. So people, I think, is part of the significant infrastructure. We do believe that the dining room now, as far as seating works, we're gonna have to add staffing. We're gonna have to look at how we operate there to be a little bit more effective, I guess you could say, to be able to manage some of those extra folks that are here. So that's correct, that's a great point. As far as the exercise and wellness, that's not built into this plan. We're looking at more outside amenities, which we feel are also extremely critical. As Ruth mentioned, the pickleball court is something that we feel is extremely important, in addition to a couple of other outdoor amenities that we want to execute. The fitness center, we believe, would be phase 3. So there, as we put together a master plan a number of years ago, we looked at phased growth, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Phase 3, from the last time we put pencil to paper, included more of those. And at some point, as talked about before, there will eventually be a restriction of the number of people that live here. We know that there's certain apartments that are going to eventually not going to continue to be viable to stay there. So there is, in those plans, we're looking at, you grow here, you may reduce the number of occupancy here to continue to execute on that master plan that was put in place. So the fitness area is something as well that would be addressed in phase 3. So it is a phased approach to creating these spaces and looking at this infrastructure. Ruth, is there anything else you would add?
We are talking about redesign.
Yeah, right.
Okay, I'm not as tall as Ryan. So, yes, the answer to your question is yes. Part of what we have to do as a leadership team when we're doing this expansion is planning for increased meeting spaces, exercise spaces, all of that. So we will actually be addressing all of that in the next, before they move in. In the next couple of years, you'll see that. I want to remind you that you would have seen a lot of that when we did phase 1 of the expansion, except we had COVID, and that changed everything. I mean, when we were moving people in to the F building, and by the way, there isn't a single person in the F building that I'm so glad you're here and part of our family. They were taking their temperature every day for 3 months, and we had to sanitize their apartment before they moved in and a week after they moved in, and they had the disadvantage of coming in without all the rest of you being able to welcome them and help them and share things with them. So yes, we anticipate that we will tackle these problems and find a solution. And yes, it will be different than phase 1 unless we have another COVID pandemic. So.
Any other marketing questions? I didn't want to hold Ruth up here too long. I know she has a lot going on, and we're getting closer to time. Yep.
Yeah, I don't have a question.
Hold on, June. I think over here. Go ahead, and then I'll come back to you, June.
I'm Ray Brady, the guy with the horse.
The guy with the horse.
Ray, can you stand up so they can see who they need to
The
talk
guy
to?
with the horse. I think that's a good bumper sticker for you, Ray. The guy with the horse.
I do have a cowboy hat. I'll wear it every day. Wow, we've been patio homeowners. I guess we're in our 8th year now. We're looking forward to a time. I say we're looking forward. We're embracing the reality that we're going to need something different down the road. We're looking forward to the options. But I find myself, and this may or may not help you, but I find myself thinking of the word priority. Priority. You know, we're just, as humans, we want to know that where we are on that list of priorities, and we're kind of like nervous if we're not sure. And so this memo comes out saying, you know, we're going to help you find your place and however this priority rolls out. And these are not their words exactly, but so I'm trying to quell the unknown and embrace the given and trust the future, that when I need a caregiver, I can stay in the same apartment, God willing. Now maybe that's not appropriate, but in Debbie and my vision and hope is that we can have an appropriate place to live together as long as we both shall live.
Thank you, Ray. And we also agree. We want folks to stay independent, continue to thrive for as long as we can. We believe folks being here is helping you do that. Community, connection, services, and quality of life helps you achieve that. June, go ahead.
I've been here since 2006. Came in with my first husband in 50.
It's working. Yep, we're good.
I've been here since 2006. Came in with my first husband who died in 2009. So he used some of the healthcare services. But I'm really talking about is the independent staff that you have here is the warmest, friendliest, most interactive staff that I can imagine. And they've made our life here very, very much more pleasant. And I must say that Don and I, we were married 5 years ago. We met here. Yeah. And
Celebrate
Don and I, there's hardly a day that passes we don't say how grateful we are to be in a community like this, with such a crazy world out there, and such a warm, friendly community here.
Yeah, thank you, We're extremely grateful. We're extremely grateful for the opportunity to serve and the people that we have. Hold that down for a minute. I want to make sure we keep moving on the agenda. I do have a 4:30 meeting with a board member I got to make sure I get, so I'm glad to be here until then. I wanted to see if we could transition, and we are open to having further discussion one-on-one if somebody has other questions around the plans. Again, as Ruth said, we're dipping our toe in the water. We're not quite there yet, but we do feel we know that there's a market that's there. We want to make sure we're doing it the right way and being intentional, one step at a time. So, I want to say thank you to folks for participating in the resident satisfaction survey. We had an unbelievable turnout. I wanted to first thank the folks that let us borrow their golf carts to individually deliver these surveys to your homes and to your apartments. So, anybody here have a golf cart that we borrowed? I can't remember exactly how many we borrowed. Well, thank you. Thank you all for letting us borrow the golf cart for the day. It was a great opportunity to get outdoors, to knock on doors, to greet people. I got to meet a dog that day and run into some residents that I not met before. So it was a great opportunity. So we're extremely grateful that we saw 76% of our residents respond. I don't think we've ever seen that number before. So, we're hopeful that our different approach and individually handing those to you helped. We also want you to know it's extremely important that we hear from you. So thank you for taking the time to let us know. And we can't improve unless we hear from you. We will be receiving the results within the coming weeks. Once we get those results, they'll be formulated. We'll sit down as a team, a leadership team, and understand the themes, and we'll be sharing them with you. And we'll also be sharing, what our action plans are to address the concerns that come from it. So, again, I wanted to thank you again. I believe there's only been a handful of folks redeemed their free meals. I know Bruce is hopeful you guys get there before the end of the year. But we also had a drawing that we told you was going to happen, so maybe that's why there's more folks here today. So I want Amy to share what we're going to do with the drawing. We're going to have a little bit of fun here. So.
Okay, so we have two options. So whoever is the winner can choose from one of the options. So the first one is an all-expense paid trip to the Biltmore House, which we are going on December the 1st. It's a scheduled trip with Rolling Green. We'll have other residents with us, but it's an all-expense paid trip that includes tickets. It's for two, and then lunch at the Stable Cafe. So then we wanted to try to think of something completely different for somebody who maybe doesn't like that, but wants to have fun. So the other one is a gift card voucher for worth $300, because that's about what the Biltmore would be, maybe a little more. To take yourself, and you can take some friends, or you could take your family to Main Event, and you could have bowling and lunch and drinks or whatever, and you could have also RGV transportation if you would like. So that'd be something that you could plan with us. If you do choose that, you could give it as a gift as well. You don't have to use it. It's yours to do with whatever you want to. So those are the options.
So again, want to make sure folks know we want to give one of these experiences out, not both, just one. But again, it's a way to say thank you. So when we somebody's going to pick a ticket here with a name, which we'll announce. That person will get the choice of either the Biltmore trip or the Main Event. So let's go ahead and see if somebody can draw this for me. See what the lucky name is.
Should I go down there?
Whatever you want, yeah. All right, let's see. Who do we have? Can I get a drum roll? Drum roll here. I have. They do this on TV so much. Marty Simonson. So Marty Simonson, is Marty here? She has won the prize. So again, thank you so much. Thanks for dropping those off. Thanks for sending them in, and thanks for that time. So we'll be getting in touch with Marty to choose the experience of her choice. So that's gonna be really fun. So thank you. Let's keep moving along. All right, I wanted to lend a couple of updates here, and we'll see if we can finish up. The prayer chapel, I know that's a very important project for us. We continue to be in a holding pattern. We're still waiting for Greenville County to review the current planning that we have. I want you all to be aware too, our board is going to be putting together an ad hoc committee to learn from other life planning communities as we investigate how to move forward. So they're going to be forming a small committee looking at other communities similar to us to understand their lessons learned when it comes to chapels and how they've been able to execute those spaces across the community similar to us. So that came from the last board meeting that we had back in the end of September. So we're still in a holding pattern, no new news there. So I want to make sure you were aware. The 2024 budget, which we've kind of talked about a little bit today, that's going to be finalized over the next week. We will continue, we feel strongly, we know we're continuing to experience higher costs when it comes to staff, when it comes to food, when it comes to utilities, equipment, supplies. That's not going away so far this year. So I want to make sure you're aware we are being sensitive to that. We're trying to keep that increase, that annual increase, which comes January 1st, as low as we can. So we're continuing to finalize that budget. Next week, the board will approve that budget, and we will put everything in writing for you by October 31st. Keep moving along. A couple of other updates. The dining services team has been doing an amazing job over the last 3 months. We've served over 62,000 meals, almost 63,000 meals. So that's 20,000 plus every single month. That's remarkable. We've not seen that type of consistent delivery of service in forever, actually. So grateful for the team there. They're doing a great job. Karen, the dining room manager, I also think is off to a great start, and she continues to learn within her role and continue to provide that experience that we need to make that service a little bit better. So I've invited Bruce to come next month to talk a little bit more about the dining service, what we've been doing lately, talk a little bit about the need for reservations and how that creates a better flow, and just making sure that you have a better experience. So next month, Ruth spoke this month. Next month, I want to have Bruce visit with you all and talk further about the experience lately and also receive some feedback. I want to make sure you all knew as well, resident committees. I'm excited to see the energy that's surrounding the committees. They've restarted. It's a great partnership that we have between residents and their staff. I've been to quite a few of them recently, some of them 2 different times, and I think I'm extremely grateful for residents volunteering their time, helping us to understand what's going on in their neighborhood or in their apartment, and really providing some of that perspective that we need to make sure that we are meeting your needs and make sure that we are making improvements that are really important to you. It shouldn't be about what we think, it should also be a partnership with you all to make sure that we're delivering on our promise to you. So a couple of other updates to share. The Woodstop storage building is going to be delivered next week. I think, Amy, what's the date? 25th. We finally got a date. I know that's been a project that's been a year plus in the making. So that'll be a separate storage space. Took a little bit longer. We wanted to make sure it also had hardy board siding that went horizontal and not vertical. Also making sure that we would paint it to make sure it matches the building next to it. Also making sure that the shingles are dimensional just like the ones that are there. So we made a few adjustments, a few upgrades you could say, but that'll be delivered next week. It'll be built next week. F building parking, I sent a memo to folks there. We did remove 3 electronic vehicle charging stations that were not working and had not been working for 3 years, and opened that space up so folks could park there. I do anticipate here in the coming weeks we will be adding some stenciling to delineate those parking spaces are for F building folks. I also anticipate us doing that in the D and E building as well as we move forward. So we're going to start with F, and then we'll work our way, I guess, down the alphabet down to A. We also did add 2 handicap spots in the F building parking lot here recently since the last meeting. I'm going to keep going forward, so make sure I hit our time. The Commons flagpole, we know that the lighting is not working. Next week, we also have a contractor to come out and install different lighting there. That's the Commons area flagpole. We understand there's only 1 light that's functional right now, and we're going to actually have to replace the whole infrastructure to make sure that something works and continues to work. The Village Center Courtyard is a project that we're looking to execute next year, but as far as this year, we're looking to take out hopefully just 1 tree and do some thinning. So we recently had a committee we sat down with to talk about those plans as we're taking 1 step at a time. We're looking to take out that tree in November and do some thinning also in that same time frame in November. We're going for Schneider Tree. They do have an arborist on their staff to ensure that we do it the right way. And then the Lakeside sidewalk, there was a question about that before. We have hired a civil engineer to look at the sidewalk. We feel it's a significant safety concern, so we are blocking that off until we can get more information. So the civil engineer, I believe, has done some study, and Skip knows a little bit more about this than me. I believe there's also another type of specialist that's going to be providing some guidance. So we're still in the study phase. Once we get those studies done, we'll be putting together some plans, and we'll be visiting with the POA folks from Lakeside to talk about those plans and kind of understand what those options are, and then collaborate with them as we make that decision on what that right solution is going to be. But Lakeside, that sidewalk is going to continue to be blocked off until we can create that plan and make sure that it's safe. Next one. Financials, we had another great month. We continue to exceed our net operating income goals, and as we talked about, that helps us to create that financial reserve to cover our debt and also have a little bit of money left over to reinvest in our community, with us being a nonprofit. So we exceeded our net operating income by $35,000 over the last month, which was another good month. So it's great that we are continuing to see the occupancy numbers and independent living. That's really driving it, the results that we have. So between the apartments, between the cottages, and the patio homes, we're seeing great independent living outcomes. On the expense side, we did have a couple of expenses that popped up this month. Some of them dated back to last year that we had to incur that caused us to go a little bit over than what we had planned. All right, next slide. I wanted to introduce somebody real quick over here on the left, just see if you can wave. This is Sean Friedman. She is our new financial services director. So I didn't know she was going to be here. At some point in the future, we'll make sure we formally introduce her. I've been introducing her a lot lately, and she's been kind of teasing. She's like, I don't like to talk about myself and don't know what else to say. But you all got a memo last Friday about her promotion from senior accountant to financial services director. So we're grateful to have Sean here. She's really doing a great job, learning a lot. She helped us close the books in September on time. She was piecing some things together, but she's doing a great job, and we appreciate her being here. So if you see her around, please stop, introduce yourself, and see how you can help her feel more comfortable as she continues to learn in her role. So thank you, Sean, for being here. We just had a visit from Life Care Services this week as well. So there was 2 folks that came in from Iowa to help her kind of get acclimated and learn about systems and processes and just overall assess. So we had a good visit with them. They just left this afternoon. On the resident engagement story, I had 2 of them. One was the one I mentioned before about the memorial service for Mr. Johnson, which was really special. Just to continue to see that the community and the connection that we have and how we can really, enhance the lives of the people that we serve. I was touched. It was pretty special. The other resident engagement story I wanted to share, we are a community, and in that community, I think a lot of folks want to know that we have a healthcare center, but they don't want to be in that healthcare center. I think a lot of our independent living residents would say that. But we have a resident that recently moved from the apartments, and she went through a rehab area, and unfortunately she could not return to her apartment. And we recommended that she stay long-term within the health center, and that's not an easy recommendation. One, to give. We don't give that lightly. And then the other one to absorb, is that's your new home. So a couple of weeks, there was a couple of not so great experiences. She wasn't feeling that this would be her home, but grateful to say that she started to look outside to see if maybe another community would be better. And then she came back to the fact that she really did want to stay here. And she's created a really great connection with a couple of the residents over there. And this is home for her. So, it's one of those stories I don't think people know about on the independent living side. The fact that, the nursing home is there. I know it's not necessarily where people always want to be, but, she has taken some time and she's able to make that decision working with her family. And this is her home, and this is where she wants to be. So I don't think we talk enough about that. We do have some great staff that are over there, and there's some great activities team, and David provides chapel services there as well. There's just a lot of great things going on. And as an independent resident, I want you to be aware that, we're committed to continuing to provide that that type of care and support, depending, no matter where you're at. So that was pretty neat. I want to make sure we continue to talk about those resident engagement pieces. And that's really what makes this work even more meaningful and helping to make a difference. So is there any other quick questions? I have to run here in about 2 minutes.
Ryan, with the earnings being as good as they are, how much are we putting in the reserve fund now?
So the question was, with earnings being so good, well, I want you to know we have a lot of catching up to do. You know, the last couple of years we've not been able to see those earnings. You know, in 2020 we did get some COVID relief funds, but we have not been on the positive side of our NOI for, I believe, at least 3 years. So there's a lot of catch up to be done. We saw significant losses due to COVID. What we are putting aside, we do have a building renewal and building account that we're putting money into each month to help us to provide some capital for expansion, but it's not enough to do the whole thing. We're also needing to continue to reinvest in the community. We have some elevators that are going to be replaced. You know, we've also been able to do some other projects this year, and moving forward, some big projects. So that's what those funds are set aside for, to do some of those things that maybe we've put off before. We don't want to be in another situation where we have to take out another loan to redo roofs, windows, and siding. So there's a couple different projects. When we roll out the budget, we can share with you some of those projects that we're looking at. In some ways, there's a little bit of flexibility as well for us to build in, you could say, a placeholder to do different things throughout the year if there's something new that arises. But the lakeside sidewalk could be a pretty significant investment that we make coming up. That was something that we had not necessarily planned for over the next year. So, but it's going to continue to evolve. Any other questions for me? I appreciate the extra time today. I'm sorry?
January pickleball courts?
We're hopeful to start, we're hopeful to start to clear that space. When it comes to pickleball courts, that was built into this next phase of development, but I felt it was important for us to deliver on that before we got to that place. Plus the fact that the assisted living is actually going to take over where the current pickleball players are. So we're waiting for the plan in Greenville County again. It takes a long time to get things approved by Greenville County. But we're hopeful to start clearing out that space by January. We do have a schedule together, and we've got a team together that's working on it. Thank you all for your time. Thank you for your extra time. Have a great week.